So I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. My day job is I work at Community Counseling Center. I'm a behavioral health therapist, and I supervise their therapists and all that stuff. I'm also a trauma-informed care trainer for the region, the upper northeast region of Ohio. And what trauma-informed care is it's a program that is designed to help people. Trevor says that this is a training for all people who interact with all people. That's Trevor's quote. And the reality of it is it's not so much about talking about how to fix your severed limb. We have ACMC over there to do that for us. I don't do that. It's the aftermath, the impact that it has on our functioning when things happen to us. And the bottom line is we've all been through something, right? All of us have been through something. So it talks about how we connect with people, how we interact with people to help them feel that they have a purpose, to help you feel that you have a purpose, to help myself feel that I have a purpose, and to gain some resiliency. So I said, yeah, I can talk about social connectivity and social wellness, he called it. So my connection with the Y is that I serve on their board. This is my second year as one of their board members. And I do that because I feel very strongly about the mission and the values that the Y bring to our community. So that's why I serve for their board. I started doing that, though, because my son, he's a swimmer, and this is his 5th year swimming competitively. He's a freshman at Geneva, and he started in the swim team 5 years ago. And the change in his life was just overwhelming for me. He was a little guy, very shy. If somebody talked to me, he'd go, how about some eye contact? His name is Jonah. Come on, Jonah. That kind of thing. Swimming changed his life. And there's a lot of scientific reasons for that, which trauma-informed care teaches about, that have to do with regulating your body. So all of this movement that you guys were doing a few minutes ago, it helps regulate your brain to help you connect with people. So there's some physical reasons for that, but there was also a huge social, emotional component to that for him as well. It helped him connect. It helped him feel like he belonged with somebody, part of a team, part of this community that he built up. And being part of that as a mom, it was just awesome to see the volunteers who devoted their time and commitment to this group, and so many other groups like that at the Y and in our community. So that's why I became a member or a board of the Y. Member of the Y board. Apparently my mouth isn't catching up to my brain this morning. So that's my connection with the Y. But then Trevor and my connection goes a little bit beyond that, because a couple of years ago we started a trauma-informed care committee for the Ashtabula County. And anybody can be involved. It's open to the community. We meet the first Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. at the Ashtabula County Library. And we just came up with a name after much deliberation, but we wanted to shift our focus from trauma, or the bad things that happen in our life, to resiliency. The good things that happen because we've been through things, and we've learned coping skills, and we've learned how to connect with people, and all of that stuff. So as of very recently, the beginning of this year, our name for this committee, for the community, is Building Resiliency Together. And so I have a flyer that I'm going to pass out. Hopefully I brought enough. I wasn't sure how many to bring, but and as I said, this is open to the public. We have an incredible cross-section of people from the community. We have people from faith-based organizations, we have people from behavioral health organizations, we have people from physical health organizations, we have people from law enforcement, we have academic teachers there, we have just a huge cross-section of people that, we have people from community action, probation officers. There's just a large group of people, and they come to learn about ways to help our community heal, to help our community be resilient, to help the people in our community be resilient. And so we came up with this little, the symbol for our committee is the little leaf that you see that's the Y and the resiliency. And the reason we kind of kept going back to that is because we, as a committee, want to plant these seeds We don't want to come in and do the job that Premier Fitness does. We don't want to come in and do the job that the Y does, or the Community Counseling Center does, or Signature Health, or any of these organizations. We just want to help spread the word. So we want to kind of be the ones that sow those seeds and kind of share the resiliency factors of our community, because a lot of people walk around and talk about Ashtabula in very negative ways. We focus, as humans, we tend to focus on negativity, and it's contagious, right? You have a bad day, you kind of grumble, you go home, you kick your dog, then your dog's kind of whining in the corner, and then your kid is angry, you know, and it kind of just snowballs from there. And so as a committee, we want to help point out the really positive things that are happening in our community. And I can tell you, with this trauma-informed care training that I do, I've had the privilege of training at all kinds of different places in our community. I have trained with ACMC. We've done trainings with all the schools in the county. There's 7 school districts. We've done trainings at all of them. We've done community trainings at the library. We have 2 more trainings coming up at the Y. Bonnie has some flyers on her table over there. They're both in February. One's on a Wednesday evening and one's on a Saturday morning. They're free and open to the public. You can come and hear about trauma-informed care. But what I have found as far as connection in these trainings is at each one, I always have somebody that comes up to me and they're kind of like a cheerleader. They're like, this is what we need. Or they'll tell me something about something incredible that's happening in the community. And from that, a connection builds. And I can give you an example of that. So, have any of you seen the video? It's been spread all over Facebook from Edgewood Media, that their media program put together. It was a challenge for teachers to tell about a student who makes them want to come to school every day. Because teaching's hard, right? She was my language arts teacher about 5 years ago. And it's a hard job, and it's gotten even more difficult because our students are facing some really just incredible challenges. There's a lot of homelessness for our students. There's a lot of substance use in their households. A lot of these kids don't know what they're going home to every day, and that makes it hard to concentrate in school. So that challenge was put out by Edgewood Media, and several of their teachers talked about these students, went to the student and told them how they make a difference in that teacher's life. And so then the challenge that was posed to these teachers was, now treat the student who is the most challenging for you like that student who makes you want to come to school every day, and see if that makes a difference in that student's life. And so these connections just keep growing, and I hear about them all the time. And I have the privilege at this series of trainings at the Y that we're doing right now, of having a young student who's a senior at Edgewood who's coming and speaking with me at these particular trainings. She is in Ashtabula County Youth Leadership Program, and it's her senior year. And she, as part of her project for leadership, wanted to share her story, so that hopefully it would help other youth, other young people, to overcome and be resilient. And just a little bit about her story. Her mom died a couple of years ago from an overdose, and she tells about that. She tells about her mom being in and out of her life and the struggles that faced from going from caregiver to caregiver, and those struggles. She talked about going to her freshman year, her first day of school, 2 weeks after her mom passed away, and just feeling like all eyes were on her, and what that was like for her, and how it was really hard then to concentrate about school or things like that. And so she came, and our first training for this series was a couple of weeks ago, and she came and shared her story. In the audience, talking about connections, was the superintendent from Edgewood Schools, Patrick Colucci. And so he got to hear his student tell this story firsthand. Now, she didn't know who he was. He didn't know who she was. But because they both happened to be there, because he also serves on the Y board, he got to hear her story, and he said to her, come and talk to our teachers. Tell them what you would have, what could have helped you as a student going through that if they knew how to maybe handle that a different way, or what to say. So we encourage anybody to attend that. Usually the meetings are about an hour long. There's a little training component. It's usually a video. There's always a discussion point of some sort where everybody kind of collaborates and gives ideas. and we're coming up with ideas on how to continue to spread the word about the good things that are happening in Ashtabula County. So that's the connection that Trevor wanted me to share about. Questions so far? No? Okay. I also brought one other handout. There's an author who wrote a book called Dreamland, and that book was written by Sam Quinones. He just spoke at the library a couple of months ago. And it talks about the opiate epidemic and why it's become so astronomical in Ohio. But what he says is that the opposite of addiction is connection. And that's a huge part, and that's another reason why Trevor asked me to come and speak to you, is because if we don't feel connected to something as humans, we start to wither, we start to fade, we start to decompose, we start to have all of these physical ailments, emotional ailments, and substance abuse can become part of that. And so that is so very true, that connection is a powerful piece, and the fact that you all get together and do this speaks volumes to that we have programs like this in the community where you can come and feel connected and part of a group. But this handout is put out by the Ohio Department of Education, and it's called the 40 Developmental Assets, and I thought that this was an important piece because it kind of speaks about connection. And what it is it's talking about what students or young people need in their lives to feel a sense of resiliency, to grow up stronger, to become healthier members of our community. And really, as community members, we all have an obligation to help our young people kind of continue to grow our community, right? That's kind of what's going to keep us going. And so we want to foster that development in them. And these 40 developmental assets are the things that they need to do that. And what science has shown, what research has shown, is that with this, with these students or even adults, we can overcome the hard things that have happened in our lives. So trauma-informed care is not about eliminating the things that happen that are negative in our lives. That's not going to happen. Let's face it, bad things happen. I did a trauma-informed care training at Grand Valley Schools in the summer, the morning that I found out that my mom was dying. And so that's an example of life. Bad things happen, hard things happen, unexpected challenges happen. But these resiliency factors are what help us grow and cope with the challenges that we face. So what I encourage you to do is just kind of look this over and think about the ways that you can impact your own life or create these senses of family support. And what I say about family support is family doesn't have to be the family you're born into. It's the family that you create that feels supportive around you now. So that can be a change at any point in time in your life, right? If your family situation's not healthy, what can you do to make the current situation healthier, or what can you do to change the situation? But just that open family communication. So many kids now, or young people, spend so much time in front of that screen. My own children included, but that screen doesn't teach them how to make eye contact. It doesn't teach them how to smile or greet people. So encouraging young people to do that just by when you walk by making eye contact and saying it's good to see you. That's a tagline I use a lot. You don't have to agree with every political belief or religious belief or any kind of belief that people have, but just to say it's genuinely good to see you and mean it can go a long way to spreading those seeds and community.